This is Jon Gilbert with East Carolina Athletics. You are experiencing social distancing sponsored by Suddenlink. I have a star-studded cast today, starting with the voice of the Pirates, Jeff Charles. Jeff, welcome to the show. We have longtime Pirate supporter, color analyst for men's basketball, Seymour. Welcome.
Thank you.
And then someone who needs no introduction, Matt Maloney, also known as Big Guy. I'm going to start with you. But before this COVID-19 ever happened, have you ever heard? Had you ever heard of Zoom before?
No, are you kidding? I heard about it today. No, I had not. My wife has been doing Zoom with a group in Newburgh, but no, not at all. It's just an amazing thing that we can do now, and I appreciate you educating me a little bit here and trying to get better at it.
What about you, Big Guy? Had you heard of Zoom before?
Absolutely not. Y'all have been very patient with me, so I appreciate being patient.
And last but not least, the voice of the Pirates, Jeff Charles. Jeff, had you ever heard of Zoom before?
Had not heard of Zoom before, but I got my man Glenn here at Pirate Radio who's helped me out today with the technology, which I'm grateful for. And so we're ready to rock and roll today, John.
And Jeff, I really appreciate you coming on the show, and I almost feel like I'm being judged as being the host, because you're typically in that spot. And so hopefully I'll do half as well as what you have done. One of the things that we started yesterday was the One Pirate Nation initiative with our priority ticket deadline. Big Guy, tell us what One Pirate Nation means to you.
One Pirate Nation means the unbelievable pirates we have. It's a big family. If you need something, they're there for you. That's why we've been here for 30 years almost, because we know we can rely on our pirate family. I can think of countless stories of just our friends and family that have done so much for us. And so we're going to come through this together because we're Pirate Strong and we're one pirate family. And it's just an unbelievable place to be.
Yeah, it is. Jeff, you obviously have a special relationship with our fan base. Talk about that relationship and how it's evolved over the years, and then what you're doing presently.
Well, John, first of all, I'm grateful for that relationship, because as a broadcaster, you really work for the fans. You really work for your listening audience. And so they embraced me really from day one, and I will always feel fortunate about that. And that relationship has grown through the years. And we've been through our ups and downs in our personal and professional life here. And every time we've had a tragedy strike our family, or went through my illness with cancer and we lost our daughter years ago, the Pirate Nation was always there for us. And so our roots really got deep here at ECU and with Pirate Nation. And again, Debbie, my wife, and I, so grateful for the wonderful support that we've had here over the years. And John, the first time I kind of got a feel for the Pirate Nation was actually when I was at Virginia Tech. And it was 1987. And East Carolina came to Virginia Tech in Blacksburg to play against the Hokies. And I was at Brand X then at Virginia Tech. And I will always remember this. And by the way, ECU won that game. I can still remember that winning play. It was a screen pass to Tim James. And long time East Carolina fans will remember that big fullback. He was a 240-pounder who could really run. And that was the big play of the game. He went down the sideline for a 60-yard touchdown, and ECU pulled the upset that day. But I always remember the fans, and I remember coming home from that game and telling my wife, Debbie, I said, there's something about the spirit of those fans at East Carolina University, and I still remember this to this day. As you know, as an athletic director and as folks in athletics know, it's always a big deal as to how many people are going to come to your stadium. And I remember this number very, very well. There were 2,100 tickets sold to ECU fans to come to Virginia Tech that day. And I remember looking out of the press box and looking down at those folks, and they were all in a couple of sections, and they were making so much noise, and they had so much enthusiasm and spirit. I went back home and told my wife, Debbie, says, there's something kind of special going on there at ECU. really impressed with that fan base. And then, of course, who knew at that time that I would be here like in the next year or two? And then we've been able to experience that firsthand. But the folks here, again, when I think of Pirate Nation, I think of resiliency. It's not always been easy here. And as we all know, we've got a ways to go to bring this program back. But the fabric is still there. The resiliency is still there with these folks and this fan base. They love ECU. They love Eastern North Carolina and this program. And we'll get it back. It's just going to take some work. But with the support of the folks out there, and I know we have that, we'll continue to move this program forward.
Well, that's a great message, Jeff, and I really appreciate what you do for us and how you do it and the relationship you have with our fan base. It really is a love affair. I want to turn to Seymour, color analyst for our men's basketball program. Cy, tell us how you really got started in East Carolina athletics and your affinity for the Pirates.
Well, thank you, John. First of all, this is a unique situation we're in right now, and I agree with Jeff. Pirates will be resilient. They'll come back. You hang in there. It's a talented group of people. Jeff being one of them, Matt being one, and you. We're very fortunate. But what got me in it, well, of course, I go back and I went to school there. I came to my first basketball game in the late 60s. I came to my first football game when Butch Colson was playing. He was from Elizabeth City, and I came to a game. Went to ECU, and what I really like about it is it is an Eastern North Carolina university. It has got my region written all over it. Now, having said all that, Jeff really got me involved. He called me and said, you coach basketball. Would you like to do this? And he took me on, and my goodness, we've had the best time. Or I have. He's such a pro, and I've enjoyed being a part of ECU basketball. But I've been fortunate enough to be with football, basketball, baseball, seen so many good things out of these programs. And the spirit is unbelievable. And I'm like Jeff, the base is there. The fabric is there. It is a great program, a great university. And it's just going to get better. This is just a unique, crazy time. And to throw onto it, we were rebuilding and got kicked back a little here. But I'm excited about the future.
Yeah, me too. So I want to stay with you just for a minute. You have had probably the best seat in the house for men's basketball for a period of years. Tell me a few of the games and the atmosphere, big games at Minges that come to mind to you.
Yeah, it has been wonderful. I look back at the back-to-back wins against Marquette. They were ranked 8th in the country. They came in here in the second year they came in. They said, they'll beat East Carolina this time. Well, no, we won both games with Dwayne Wade, Travis Diener, Jackson, a big center from Mississippi that was unbelievable, had good shooters, Tom Crean's ball club. Like I said, they were one of the tops in the country. And we knocked them out, beating Louisville here with Rick Pitino at that same time. And that was a big time when Billy Harrigan was coaching them back then. Yeah. Big wins. Then Mac beat NC State in the facility. That was a nice win against a good NC State team. But, when you really boil down to it, Jeff Lebo's run in the CIT, they won 9 out of 11 games down the stretch. That was a heck of a run. They, the win against against Evansville at home in the CIT, we won by 23. Which they had beaten Wichita State twice easily, and Wichita State was in the Final Four. And then and we kill Evansville, just really beat them. And then to win the CIT at Weber State was a heck of a win. When you look at Weber State, they were really good, packed house, and we win at the buzzer. That's a big time win. Joe's 2 wins this year were big against SMU and South Florida early, and at a time when you don't have big crowds. We had big crowds thanks to you guys pushing. That was unbelievable. There's a lot of future ahead in that program, but a lot of big wins have been in there, but we can get more than that. And I think Joe's on the right track.
I agree. Jeff, Dowdy Ficklin Stadium's over my right shoulder here. You can't see it through the window, but it clearly is standing tall today. Some special memories for you, special calls coming out of Dowdy Ficklin Stadium. Would you share those with us?
Sure, John. The one I always talk about is the Pittsburgh game, 1991, when the Pirates were making that great run and had the terrific season. And went to the Peach Bowl and beat North Carolina State. The Pittsburgh game still stands out in my mind. At that time, John, the stadium only sat 35,000. We did not have the upper deck. We did not have, of course, the end zone facility. And all we had was 35,000 seats. But we did have a fence behind the end zones, and people used to line up there, kind of like a high school game, actually, and people used to stand behind those fences so they could put another 500 people basically in the end zones. And so that day there were 36,000 people in that stadium, and I still say to this day there was more noise in that stadium that day than even the 50,000 crowds that we have had, you know, in the years after. So it was a great atmosphere, number one. And then number two, you know, Pittsburgh was really a good football program, a very good team. They came in here. The Pirates were on a roll. It was kind of like a snowball going downhill, but there were the naysayers out there that kept saying, well, the streak's going to end. They're playing at Pittsburgh or they're playing at Virginia Tech, and that's going to be hard for East Carolina to win those games. And then it was a great football game. And then Jeff Blake scored the touchdown, and then East Carolina with Bill Lewis then as the head coach went for the 2-point conversion. And there was no doubt in my mind, and you can go back and listen to the old tapes I said on there, there's no doubt in my mind that Bill here will go for the win and go for the 2-point conversion rather than the extra point in that situation. And then I can still see that final play, that option play that Jeff Blake took the ball in on the 2-point conversion. The Pirates ended up winning that game, and the whole place went absolutely bananas. So that's the game that really sticks out. And then, of course, other wins against North Carolina State, of course, down through the years, those are very big wins too. Pirates played a great game against West Virginia, one of the best games I've ever seen ECU play when Skip Holtz was here as the coach, probably from beginning to end. As far as a 60-minute effort, I always think about that game being one of the best games that ECU has ever played on both sides of the ball. A win against a nationally ranked West Virginia team. Always remember that one too.
Well, I know we've got the Mountaineers coming back to Dowdy-Ficklin. I think it's 2026. And so we'll be excited to have them back in our venue. Matt Big Guy Maloney, obviously one of our resident historians of everything ECU. Matt, I know you have a special relationship with a lot of our donors. You've been talking to them on the phone through this pandemic. What has that message been, and what are you hearing from our donor base?
Well, John, thank you for asking that question, because they're encouraging us too. They said they're here for us too, but they're saying they want to come back. They want to be back in that unbelievable atmosphere we have. They want to help, and they're saying, how can we help? And I think they know the direction this entire program is going. We're heading in such a positive direction, but they have so much invested, and they want to keep investing, and they want to take care of our student athletes. And they see some great things happening, even though we're going through tough times. But it's been really uplifting listening to them saying, we want to help, but I'm looking forward to getting back in Dowdy-Ficklin. And they also say we miss each other. You know, we miss each other. We miss seeing them at Clark Eau Claire, which is one of the best atmospheres in the entire country. And, you know, it's just, it's hopeful because they want to come back, but also a little sad because we miss seeing them because we have such good relationships with our friends and donors.
Well, I know this from the 18 months I've been here. The love of Pirates is a generational thing that's passed down to other generations, and it's really a special place. Cy, you are the unofficial mayor of New Bern, North Carolina, and all things Eastern North Carolina. When this pandemic is over, what are a few places that we should all go visit in Eastern North Carolina that comes to mind?
Well, first of all, you go to East Carolina. You go to the ball games. You get out. You go to Pirate Nation. It's going to be a lot of fun. Come to the beach. Come to New Bern. Walk down Middle Street. Enjoy your life. It is wonderful down here. I happen to be at Emerald Isle today. Go to the beaches. Go to New Bern. Go to the small towns. But go to East Carolina. Support the Pirates. Coming up in the fall, it's going to be a treat. And I look forward to it. And one thing I want to say, John, that I was fortunate enough to be on the trip coming home from the trip down in for the tournament in Texas.
Right.
When we got back, yes. And one of the things that was impressive when we got back, you talk about things that will stand out. When you talk to our student athletes in the locker room with Ryan Robinson, it was heartfelt. You wanted what was best for our student athletes. And that's what we all want. As a dad, as a granddad, I'm looking at leadership. That was one of the great signs of leadership. You looked at those kids and you said, we want you to be safe. We want to get your classes fixed. We want to help you any way we can. And I walked away saying, I'm so glad I'm a part of ECU. And that was you and Ryan and the staff. And that's what's important. That's what it all gets down to, the kids and what we do for them. And that's important. And that's why we'll be successful.
Well, that's kind of you to say, and I agree with you. And I take it a step further. We're really fortunate at East Carolina because of our people. We've got special people in this athletic department. We've got a special Pirate Nation and donors that care about us. It really is a special place. So I want one more thing before I move over to Jeff. Have you ever been in a bad mood before?
No.
And maybe your wife's going to jump in behind you and shake her head.
Yeah.
The truth is, no. Even now, it's been a treat. I mean, you sit out, you walk, and you get your exercise, but you have to believe things are going to get better. I don't have time to be in too many bad moods. I'll have to tell you.
And they are going to get better. Jeff, I want to shift to you. And number one, do you think there is another voice of any Division I program in the country that could bench press more weight than you?
I can unequivocally say no, but then you have to look at the people in my profession, and that's really not saying a whole lot, John.
Well, I know that you have done an excellent job of taking care of yourself. Walk us through some of the things you do personally to stay in shape.
Well, now that you mention it, I'm going to share a little something here with you. As you know, I am a workout guy, Big Guy Maloney, and in fact, Big Guy can attest to this because he was in the weight room a number of years ago when I bench pressed 335 pounds. He was my spotter, and so I appreciate that. But I've been going crazy, obviously, since I have not been able to go to the gym. So this is no joke. I said what I'm going to do is I'm going to do at least 150 push-ups every day until this thing is over. So this is day 50, and I've done 150 push-ups every day. So I'm somewhere around 7,000 push-ups at this point.
I can tell that shirt
is concerned. And I've got dumbbells at home, and I've got my ab roller, and I get out and run 4 miles. And so I'm doing the best I can. That's about all I can tell you.
Well, I can clearly see that shirt you have on. It looks a little tight around the arms, that they've gotten a little bit bigger.
It's been fun. It's a labor of love. And you know, on a serious note, because I did go through, and you guys know, and our most of our listeners to this program know, I went through a very, very difficult cancer journey. In fact, at one point in 2013, they scratched me off the list. And so I'm just grateful for every day. I'm just like Cy, and I always think of Al McGuire. We're talking a little basketball here. Al McGuire used to say, every day, seashells and balloons.
Yeah.
I'm grateful for every day and grateful to be a part of the Pirate Nation.
Matt, I want to finish with you. Tell us how the Big Guy name got started and a message to Pirate Nation.
Oh, Big Guy here. When I was first week I was in Greenville, and again, I got welcomed. So it's a wonderful welcome. So my good friend Gary Alford, who owned King Sandwich, he fed me a lot my first few weeks in Greenville, and handed him on the back. And I said, hey, Big Guy, thank you. And it just stuck. And so he really liked it. And then that name just kind of, wherever I went, he goes, this is Big Guy. And so, you know, that pat on the back started it off. And
one thing I do want to clear up, like you call everybody Big Guy.
yes.
And out of all the people that you call Big Guy, do you really know their name, or is it just a go-to name because you can't remember?
All right. Let's 95% I might know their name. All right. How's that? 95%.
95% is a passing grade at where I went to school. So I'm going to give you a passing grade on that. For Seymour, Matt Maloney, big guy, the voice of the Pirates, Jeff Charles. I'm Jon Gilbert. You've been experiencing social distancing sponsored by Suddenlink. Go Pirates.
Go Pirates.